Some nights exist outside of time itself. October 12, 1958 was such a night. When Hollywood's two greatest gunfighters faced each other under Arizona stars, the desert itself held its breath. One man embodied the soul of the American West. The other possessed its deadliest hand. What happened between them would redefine the meaning of legendary. Before we continue, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the stories that reveal who Hollywood's greatest legends really were when the cameras stopped rolling. The Sonoran Desert stretches endlessly in all directions from Howard Hawks' private ranch, 30 miles south of Old Tucson Studios. Ancient saguaro cacti stand like cathedral spires against a sky painted in impossible shades of crimson and gold. The temperature has dropped from 102 degrees to a comfortable 74 as evening claims the landscape. Mesquite smoke drifts from the ranch house chimney, carrying the scent of burning hardwood that has perfumed this land since Apache times. John Wayne sits motionless on the adobe veranda, his weathered hands wrapped around a crystal tumbler of aged bourbon. At 51, the Duke has reached the absolute peak of his powers. Rio Bravo awaits filming, but tonight belongs to friendship and philosophy, rather than cameras and contracts. His Colt .45 Peacemaker rests in its worn leather holster, not a prop, but a working weapon maintained with the same care he brings to his craft. Wayne doesn't carry guns for show. He carries them because a man should be prepared to defend what matters. The veranda overlooks a natural amphitheater, carved by millennia of wind and water. Red sandstone formations rise from the desert floor like monuments to eternity. In this setting, Hollywood's manufactured dreams seem small and temporary. Here, only authentic things endure: the desert, the stars, and men whose character runs deeper than their reputation. 50 feet away, Glenn Ford prepares for whatever the evening might demand. At 42, he represents technical perfection applied to frontier arts. His modified Smith & Wesson Model 29 occupies a custom holster crafted by the same artisan who equipped legendary lawmen Wyatt Earp and Bat Masterson. The weapon has been balanced to Ford's exact specifications: action smoothed, trigger pull reduced to 2.5 pounds, grip carved to fit his hand like a surgeon's instrument. Ford's reputation precedes him into every room he enters: Hollywood's fastest draw. The man who revolutionized quick-draw sequences in 3:10 to Yuma and The Fastest Gun Alive, directors time his movements with precision stopwatches. His draw has been measured at 0.4 seconds, faster than human reflexes, faster than conscious thought. Audiences gasp when they witness his speed. Fellow actors step aside in genuine awe, but tonight, competition seems secondary to curiosity. Two masters of their craft, studying each other with the intensity of scholars examining ancient texts. Each recognizes something valuable in the other, excellence pursued through different paths toward the same destination. Howard Hawks orchestrates the evening with diplomatic subtlety. The legendary director has worked extensively with both men, understands their contrasting approaches to Western authenticity. Wayne brings presence that transforms every scene he enters. Ford brings technical precision that borders on supernatural. Hawks believes they need to understand each other, not as rivals, but as complementary forces serving the same artistic vision. "Gentlemen," Hawks announces, emerging from the ranch house carrying a leather-bound journal and a bottle of pre-war Kentucky bourbon. "Tonight we set aside business completely. No talk of studios or contracts or box office receipts. Tonight we're just three men who understand what the West really means." The dinner table reflects Hawks' attention to authentic detail. Hand-forged silverware crafted by local artisans. Plates fired in kilns heated by desert ironwood. Crystal glasses that catch and scatter lamplight like captured starshine. The meal itself honors frontier traditions: prime beef grilled over mesquite coals, beans slow-cooked in cast-iron Dutch ovens, cornbread baked in skillets seasoned by generations of use. Conversation flows carefully at first, two professionals taking each other's measure across a table laden with simple abundance. Wayne observes Ford's movements, economical gestures, no wasted motion, hands that could perform surgery or outdraw lightning with equal precision. Ford studies Wayne's bearing, natural authority that requires no demonstration, presence that fills spaces larger than his physical frame. As the evening progresses, professional caution gives way to genuine curiosity. These are not competitors circling each other, but craftsmen recognizing mutual dedication to excellence. "Glenn," Wayne says during a natural pause in conversation, "I've been watching your picture work for years. That sequence in 3:10 to Yuma, where you outdraw 3 men simultaneously, how many takes did that require?" Ford sets down his coffee cup with characteristic precision. "1 take, Duke, but 6 months of preparation. I don't believe in wasting film or crew time with technical difficulties that should be solved during rehearsal." Wayne nods approvingly. "Professional approach. I respect that. Too many actors think speed means not preparing properly." "Preparation is everything," Ford agrees. "But Duke, I've always wondered about your approach. You don't draw particularly fast, yet your gunfight sequences feel more dangerous than anyone else's. How do you explain that phenomenon?" Wayne's weathered face arranges itself into a thoughtful expression. "Glenn, speed is just one factor in a gunfight. Maybe not even the most important factor." The statement hangs in the desert air like a philosophical challenge. Ford leans forward, genuinely intrigued by the direction this conversation has taken. "Care to elaborate on that theory?" Wayne rises from his chair with deliberate movements, each gesture conveying purpose rather than haste. "Let's step outside where we can see the stars properly. Desert sky makes for clearer thinking." The 3 men walk onto the veranda where night has transformed the landscape into something primordial and eternal. The Milky Way stretches across heaven like spilled diamonds on black velvet. Coyotes sing their ancient songs in the distance. Temperature has dropped to perfect comfort, warm enough for shirt sleeves, cool enough to appreciate the subtle breeze that carries scents of sage and creosote. Wayne positions himself at the veranda railing, looking out across moonlit desert toward distant mountains that appear purple-black against star-filled sky. "Glenn, I've made it my business to study real gunfighters, not movie versions but authentic frontier lawmen, men who survived situations where one mistake meant death." Ford joins Wayne at the railing, interested despite himself in where this conversation leads. Despite his own expertise, he recognizes that Wayne possesses something different, not just technical knowledge, but deeper understanding of what gunfighting meant in historical context. "What I learned surprised me," Wayne continues. "The fastest draw didn't always survive the gunfight. Sometimes the man who drew second lived longer because he made better decisions under pressure. Real gunfighters succeeded through intelligence rather than pure speed." Hawks refills their glasses while listening to this exchange with the satisfaction of a teacher watching students discover important truths. "You're talking about psychology rather than mechanics," Ford observes. "Exactly right," Wayne confirms. When a real gunfighter walked into a saloon in Tombstone or Dodge City, his survival didn't depend on how fast he could clear leather. It depended on whether other men believed he would clear leather when circumstances required it. Ford considers this perspective with the same intensity he brings to perfecting his quick-draw technique. "Duke, are you suggesting that reputation matters more than ability?" Wayne's expression softens slightly. "I'm suggesting that the best gunfighters combined both elements, technical skill backed by psychological authority. Glenn, your speed is genuinely remarkable, artistic perfection applied to frontier skills. But what makes you truly dangerous isn't just mechanical excellence." He turns to face Ford directly. "What makes you dangerous is that audiences believe you'll use that speed when the story requires it. You project certainty rather than just competence. That combination of technical mastery and emotional conviction, that's what separates great Western actors from merely fast ones." Ford removes his hat in a gesture that acknowledges both the desert's majesty and Wayne's wisdom. "Duke, I came here tonight curious about comparing our different approaches. Instead, I'm learning why comparison misses the essential point." Wayne nods approvingly. "Professional recognition rather than professional rivalry. That's the mark of true craftsmanship. Hawk steps forward, sensing an opportunity to deepen this exchange. Why don't you gentlemen demonstrate your respective approaches? Not as competition but as education. Show each other what you do best. Wayne and Ford exchange glances, understanding passing between them like desert wind. This moment has moved beyond casual conversation into something more significant. Mutual respect expressed through shared expertise. What target do you suggest? Wayne asks. Hawks points toward a fence post 60 yards away, where moonlight illuminates a tin can that someone placed there earlier. Good distance for accuracy. Safe backstop behind it. Clear visibility despite the darkness. Both men inspect their weapons with professional thoroughness. Ford's Smith & Wesson emerges from its holster with practiced ease, cylinder swinging open to reveal 6 cartridges loaded with blanks for safety. Wayne's Colt receives the same careful attention. Chambers checked, action tested, balance confirmed. Glenn, Wayne suggests as they prepare, why don't you demonstrate that famous speed first? Show me what 0.4 seconds actually looks like. Ford takes his position with the focused intensity of a classical musician preparing for concert performance. Feet positioned for optimal balance. Knees slightly flexed to lower center of gravity. Right hand hovering precisely above his weapon's grip. Every muscle coiled like spring steel. Every movement calculated through thousands of hours of dedicated practice. This isn't showmanship, Ford explains quietly. This is engineering principles applied to frontier arts. Physics, anatomy, and psychology working together to achieve something that approaches perfection. Wayne positions himself where he can observe Ford's technique without interfering. He's genuinely curious to witness legendary speed from close proximity. Ready when you are, Ford announces, voice steady despite the evening's significance. The desert falls completely silent. No wind, no animal sounds, no human breathing. Even the distant mountains seem to lean forward in anticipation. Ford's hand moves. The description lightning fails to capture what happens next. Lightning can be seen, tracked, anticipated. Ford's draw transcends visual perception. One moment his hand hovers empty above his holster. The next moment his Smith & Wesson appears aimed at the target as if summoned by supernatural forces. The transition occupies 0.4 seconds, but those 0.4 contain movement so precise it seems to violate natural law. The gunshot echoes across desert silence like thunder. 60 yards away, the tin can explodes into fragments that catch moonlight as they scatter across sand and stone. Ford holsters his weapon with the same precision that characterized his draw. No wasted motion. No theatrical flourish, just smooth return to ready position, like a surgeon replacing instruments after successful operation. Jesus, Glenn, Wayne says, genuine awe in his voice. I've heard about that speed for years, but witnessing it directly, that's beyond impressive. That's artistry. Ford reloads his weapon with practiced efficiency. 15 years of daily practice, Duke. Started when I was doing B pictures, trying to make myself valuable to directors who needed authentic gunfight sequences. Speed became my signature, but it was always in service to storytelling. Shows in every movement. You're not just fast, you understand what speed means dramatically. Wayne takes his position beside Ford rather than opposite him. They're not confronting each other, but demonstrating complementary approaches to the same craft. Now let me show you something different, Wayne says. Not speed, but certainty. Wayne's preparation differs markedly from Ford's. No elaborate stance, no visible tension. Just natural positioning that suggests readiness, without advertising it. His hand rests casually near his Colt's grip, close enough for quick access, relaxed enough to avoid telegraphing intentions. This is how real gunfighters actually stood, Wayne explains. Not coiled for maximum speed, but positioned for best decision-making under pressure. The idea was to avoid gunfights through presence, rather than win them through speed. Ford watches intently as Wayne settles into his chosen position. There's no visible preparation, no obvious moment when Wayne transitions from casual to ready. He simply becomes more present, more focused, more inevitably dangerous. The target is yours, Duke. Wayne's draw unfolds like natural law made visible, slow enough to follow with the eye, but somehow more certain than Ford's lightning speed. The Colt emerges from leather with ceremonial dignity, like a knight's sword being drawn for righteous battle. No wasted motion, but no hurry either. Just smooth progression from holstered to aimed position. His shot follows Ford's echo by perhaps 2 full seconds, an eternity in quick draw terms. But when the report fades, observers realize that Wayne wasn't aiming at the tin can. His bullet strikes a smaller target, a bottle cap that had been lying unnoticed in the sand near the fence post. Wayne holsters his weapon with the same unhurried certainty that characterized his draw. "Duke," Ford says quietly, "you weren't trying to be fast. You were trying to be precise. And somehow, that precision felt more dangerous than my speed." Wayne nods slowly. "That's the difference I was talking about, Glenn. Speed impresses audiences. Precision convinces them. When you're fast, people think, that's amazing. When you're certain, they think, that's inevitable." Hawks approaches with the bourbon bottle, understanding that something significant has occurred between his two friends. "Gentlemen, what I just witnessed wasn't competition, it was education. Two masters demonstrating different aspects of the same craft." They return to their chairs as desert quiet reclaims the night. The demonstration has transformed their relationship, not from strangers to friends, but from professionals to colleagues who understand each other's unique excellence. "Glenn," Wayne continues, accepting his refilled glass, "your speed is genuine artistry. But what makes you special isn't just mechanical perfection. It's that you understand when to use that speed dramatically. You serve the story rather than showing off for its own sake." Ford lights a cigarette, hands steady despite the evening's intensity. "Duke, watching you draw taught me something about the difference between technique and authority. My speed comes from practice. Your certainty comes from something deeper, understanding what gunfighting meant to the men who actually lived it. Maybe that's why we're both still working," Wayne muses. "Hollywood has room for different kinds of excellence. Speed and certainty, technique and presence. Different tools for different stories." Hawks raises his glass. "To complementary excellence rather than competing excellence." They drink in comfortable silence, 3 professionals who understand that true mastery lies not in defeating others, but in perfecting oneself. Desert stars wheel overhead in their eternal dance, unchanged by human ambitions or achievements. "You know what tonight taught me?" Ford asks, breaking the contemplative quiet. "What's that, son?" "That legends aren't made by being better than other legends. They're made by understanding what makes each legend unique and valuable." Wayne nods slowly, recognizing wisdom when he hears it. "Glenn, you've got the fastest draw in Hollywood, but more importantly, you understand what that gift means and how to use it properly. That's what separates artists from technicians." Ford stubs out his cigarette thoughtfully. "And you, Duke, you've got something that can't be taught or practiced. You carry the authority of the real West with you. When you appear in a scene, you become the scene. That's not acting. That's embodying truth." The conversation continues as night deepens around them. Two men who might have been rivals discovering they're actually complementary forces in the same artistic endeavor. Wayne talks about presence, about carrying America's image of frontier masculinity. Ford discusses technique, the science of making impossible speed look effortless and natural. As the evening winds toward its conclusion, both men understand that they've experienced something rare, genuine professional recognition between masters of their respective crafts. No competition, no rivalry, just mutual appreciation for excellence achieved through different methods. "Glenn," Wayne says as they prepare to part company, "this has been one of the finest evenings I've spent in years. Anytime you want to discuss gunfighting or anything else, my door remains open." They shake hands, not the quick Hollywood handshake of business acquaintances, but the firm grip of men who've taken each other's measure and found mutual respect. "Duke," Ford replies, "you taught me tonight that there's more than one way to be dangerous. Speed is just technique. What you have is authority. That's worth more than any quick draw record. Wayne tips his hat in acknowledgement. And you reminded me that technique, when perfected to your level, becomes its own form of art. Speed in service to story. That's what makes you special. As Ford drives away into desert darkness, his taillights disappearing among mesquite and saguaro, Wayne remains on the veranda with Hawks. What do you think, Duke? Did tonight accomplish what you hoped? Wayne lights a final cigarette, smoke curling upward toward stars that have witnessed countless such meetings between men of different gifts. Howard, we didn't settle anything because nothing needed settling. Two professionals showing each other respect. That's all it was. That's all it needed to be. The desert wind carries their words away into infinite silence, but the memory of mutual recognition between legends remains. Some confrontations create winners and losers. Others create understanding. Tonight belonged to the second category, two masters acknowledging each other's unique excellence under stars that remember everything and judge nothing.